Like and subscribe if you want to hear the truth. Obama has turned out to be a, been trying to figure out how to put this. He's turned out to be a puppet in wolf's clothing. A puppet in wolf's clothing. And the reason why I say wolf's clothing, a puppet in wolf's clothing, because never in the history of Black America has so much been expected of a man who has done so little. Never in the history of African Americans has a man been expected to do so much and do so little from the highest office in the United States of America and perhaps in the world. He did nothing. He had what is called political capital. Do you know what political capital is? Political capital is when you have the will of the people. This allows you to get through any legislation that you want to get through because the people will support you. And if anyone stands against you, they will have to take on the people of this country. And not only did he have political capital in the United States, his political capital ran overseas. Never was so much expected from a man who did so little. He was celebrated all over the world, even in European countries. He was celebrated all over Africa. They felt that this could possibly be the end of their colonization. He would do something to bring prosperity to Africa since he was the president of the most powerfulest country in the world. Never, ever has there been so much expected of a man who has done nothing. Obama is and will always and should be known as one thing: a dream killer. A dream killer. He is definitely not the dream of Martin Luther King. On March 3rd, 1991 is a day that all African Americans will remember. They may not remember the date, but they will remember this incident and the name Rodney King. This was the first time that a cell phone was used to catch police beating an innocent black man for no reason whatsoever. This put black people, it put us on code. And as cell phones became more widely used, more popular, we began to film incidents of police brutality all over the country. And the white supremacists, they had no answer for it but to convict police and pay civil rights damages. We were on an upswing. We were on top of our toes. But change takes time. And around the time that Obama became president, which would be 2009, 2012, the cell phones were coming into date. we had progress to a point to where everybody was filming. And the white supremacists were paying were paying for what they were doing. We were on top of our game. But what happened in 2009 when Obama took office, it took us off cold. We relaxed. We relaxed. We thought that we had a black president with teeth, with the teeth of a wolf, that would be able, that would take care of racism. Maybe not end it, but make things better. Maybe now we will get the equality that we so desired and prayed for. Never have so much been expected of a man who has given so little. The climax came, the realization came of what we had in office became undeniable on February 26, 2012, when Trayvon Martin had his civil rights violated when he was dissolved by George Zimmerman. This was big news, national media. Obama did nothing. Eric Holder, the Attorney General, investigated the situation and found no evidence of the violation of Trayvon Martin, an unarmed black child that had a Lipton ice, coming home from the store with a Lipton iced tea and some Skittles. I told my friends that Obama sold us out. They told me there was nothing he could do. I said, there is something he can do. He is the president. He could send his attorney general there to file charges on Zimmerman for violating Trayvon Martin's civil rights. They told me that there's nothing he can do. There is nothing he can do. The reality of the situation is they knew nothing about politics. They knew nothing about government, nothing about the three branches of government. But these black people were they knew nothing, but they talked as if they knew everything. And they supported Obama instead of Trayvon Martin. They didn't even investigate to see if I knew what I was talking about. They didn't even realize that the Attorney General, Eric Holder at the time, said that that Zimmerman was right, because they didn't prosecute him. But he could have. Never have so much been expected of a man who has done so little. Understand one thing. This is the first time in my life that I was sending money to a candidate running for public office. I was fooled, I was deceived, and I was taken off cold, like millions of African Americans were taken off cold, because we expected this man to do something that would alleviate the burden of racism. He did nothing. Never have so much been expected of a man who did nothing. Absolutely nothing. And like I said, I made the mistake of sending him money. It was wasted. I bought his books and read them, and now I find out that the books were lies. Even his marriage is a scam. He only dated white women until he married, what's her name? And in an Oprah interview, she said that it was 10 years before she liked him, which means he should get a DNA test, have his children get a DNA test, and make sure that he is the father of those children. This was in an Oprah Winfrey interview. And you know how you look at something and you just kind of let it pass, you don't think about it? But then as I think about it now, and I understand that he was handpicked to become a black president. He was a puppet. And they didn't want him to have a white wife. That would not be suitable. So they made sure he had a black wife, a professional woman that would have the qualities of feminism. Feminist. That's what they wanted him to have, a feminist wife. And he did exactly what a puppet was supposed to do. If he had defended black people the way he defended and supported gay rights, maybe we wouldn't have all these black people being shot. He was the gay rights president. But let me go on. Tamir Rice, he said and did nothing. There were weekly incidents of black people being deleted, dissolved by the police, and he didn't even say a word about it. And you all know that I'm telling the truth. He didn't say anything about it. He ignored all of this. The water in Flint, Michigan was switched from the Detroit Water and Sewage Department to Flint River, a dirty river. And it led to lead poisoning as well as some type of a bacteria called Legionella. 12 people died, 87 people were affected. The family received there was a $641 million settlement, with 80% going to the families of victims. And they repaired the situation. They installed water filtration system in some people's homes. Did anybody get prosecuted for it? No. No. Governor Rick Snyder should have been prosecuted. Only one person was prosecuted, and it was a minor prosecution. And on top of that, and there were 40-something people indicted. One person suffered a minor, I guess you can call it a glitch. Then you have the 2008-2009 recession. Black people lost more wealth during that recession than any time in our history. Obama bailed out the banks. Countries, governments around the world were putting bank executives who caused this into jail, prosecuting them for the recession. Obama bailed them out, prosecuted no one, did not repair the damage done to black people or white people who lost their homes, whose credit was destroyed. He did nothing for the people. And within 2 years, the banks were making profits. He gave them they got a loan, and I think it was 0.0775. It was less than a 1% loan to bail them out. Never have so much been expected from one man by a people than when Obama was in office. He did nothing for us. In fact, we needed Black Lives Matter, which started in 2013, to get us back on code. But the problem with Black Lives Matter is that it was ran by women. And with all due respect, they made a mess of it. They made a mess of an international organization. They made a mess of it. But see, we didn't need Black Lives Matter when we before Obama got into office, because we were on top of things. We were like cells. Every cell phone was a cell, and it was filming police harassment, police intimidation. We had it, it was just like polka dots all over the country. And we were hitting white supremacists from every angle and point of view. Obama, caused us to relax. Caused us to relax. And while we were relaxing, thinking that he was going to do something, he was, with all due respect, the Amos and Andy, the Stephen Fletcher, a Negro, what do you call those? Those ministers, or whatever you call those little dancers. Because all he did as president, I've never seen a president dance and sing as much as Obama, while weekly black people were being deleted and dissolved by the police. He was on Ellen DeGeneres' show, seemed like all the time, singing and dancing. He tried to make Amazing Grace a hit record. Never has so much been expected of a man who has done so little for his people. Singing and dancing was all he did. To show you what kind of a puppet he is, do you remember when the so-called whoever they were went in and got Bin Laden? Where was the puppet sitting? He was sitting where a puppet is supposed to sit. Do you think even Hillary Clinton was sitting at the table? He was sitting like in a corner, bent over. He did not look president. Do you think George Bush would have been sitting there? Do you think Donald Trump would have been sitting there? Do you think Joe Biden would have been sitting there? Do you think if Hillary Clinton was president, she'd have been sitting there bent over? And when it was brought to the attention of the media by black people, they said that, well, Obama was just sitting to the side because he was letting the general do his job. The president is supposed to be the commander, the supreme commander of all military forces. He is the supreme commander. It is his job to sit at the head of the table. The generals take orders from him. That excuse was BS. Just like the excuses for the deletion of Tamir Rice and Trayvon Martin, and for the non-prosecution of the people who tried to poison the people in Flint, Michigan. And 12 people lost their lives. 87 were sick. He prosecuted no one. His attorney general prosecuted no one for the 2008 depression. And it was caused by overcharging people for homes, overtly inflated homes. And so when people defaulted, they couldn't pay, the houses were overinflated. So that just upset the whole market. And when somebody filed bankruptcy, you couldn't sell the house for what, for the loan of the property. If you borrowed $50,000 for this house and the person defaulted and the house is only worth $12,000, that is going to cause a crisis. And it did over and over and over and over again. Houses were overvalued. And that's why they call it the housing bubble. What did Obama do? He rewarded the criminals who overvalued the houses. Nobody went to jail like they did in other countries. Never has so much been expected out of a person who has done so little. Then he had the audacity to campaign for Jim Crow Joe. They were supposed to be, what would they call them? Bosom buddies or some kind of buddies? Yeah. The guy who just called LL Cool J a boy. And the puppets still gave him an applause. You know, one of the main problems in this country is this. Black people, we are Hebrew Israelites. We are not Christians. Christians are the people who enslaved us and helped to sell us into slavery. Christians approved of slavery. And not only did Christians approve of slavery, the Romans, who are the Christians, murdered and tortured Yahshua, Jesus, and then started a fake religion, Christianity, in his name. And all Christianity has done is enslave, colonize, raped, committed pedophile against people. What does the Bible tell you? The Bible tells us in Deuteronomy that the curse was slavery and we would be spreaded all over the world. What other people other than us have been enslaved and sent to markets all over the world? So why are you calling yourself Christians? It makes no sense. And some black people are still rah, 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 sis, boom, bah, Obama. This guy is the worst thing that has ever happened to Black America. Never have so much been expected of a person and nothing was given in return. He has the audacity to have his picture with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. When I get into arguments with people and they tell me that Obama couldn't do this and he couldn't do that. But guess what? Obama had more power than Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King used his movement to force the president and Congress to pass the Civil Rights Bill and Voting Rights Bill. Martin Luther King did that. He forced that. But he did not have the political capital that Obama had as president. Obama did not have to try to convince the president to sign legislation or to push for legislation because he was the president. He could have done all this on his own. He had political capital, not just nationally, he had international political capital. Excuse me. That being the will of the people. Not just the will of the people in the United States, but the will of the people internationally. I feel sorry for his brother when he went to Africa. Because being the brother of the most powerfulest nation in the world, people thought that his brother had some type of influence. And that Obama would do this and do that if his brother called him. Obama didn't do nothing but abandon his brother. And his brother tried to help people as best he could, but he had no power. I don't even think, I doubt if Obama, I don't know if he even gave him any money. Obama is a bigger puppet than Clarence Thomas when you consider the position he's in compared to Clarence Thomas. And I'm going to say another thing. They prevented him from getting in federal judges. But guess what? He still had the political capital if he used it to get some judges in there. He didn't try. Now you got black people running around talking about, we're going to vote for Trump. We're going to vote for Trump. Are you out of your mind? Do you know what Trump did? Trump put racist judges in office, some of them with no experience in criminal court cases. Therefore, when police shoot or delete an unarmed black person, you have this racist judge who lets them get away, doesn't charge them. And if he does, and they get charged for lesser crimes. And then what did that judge do? He gives them probation and things of this nature. Those are the judges appointed by Trump. And you have black women's groups talking about voting for Trump. And black women have been, with all due respect, they have been an embarrassment. And black men should go overseas and look for wives, because a relationship with a black woman is dangerous. You are taking a chance. You are taking a big chance dealing with a woman that is entitled, does not respect you, will run into the arms of a white man, get the slop beat out of her, and get mad at you for not taking up for her. Black people, come home to who you are, Hebrew Israelites. It is the only chance we have to get on code. Like and subscribe. Didn't mean to go so long, but it was necessary. Have a great day.